This is Mindustry gameplay. I am doing a challenge map walkthrough today. This is Run, which Googly Goo made. The base concept for it is pretty good. There is one spawn, and a world processor is increasing the size of the exclusion radius as time goes on. So you have to expand. There's no alternative. It's going to blow up whatever you build as time passes. It's a series of tricks to get progress fast enough to keep ahead of that. So like the first thing you have to do, the first thing that I'm doing is a duo and manual load it to prevent that initial set of duos from fighting, and then I can get that coal. Yes, here you are. And then there's first you need this, then you need that, then you need that. The order of things that I found that worked ended up being pretty straightforward. First you need the graphite, and you need that to build the kiln to get glass. And the glass is building up so that I can start to water drills and do steam power. If you're not watering drills, then you end up at nowhere near enough coal to actually, keep ahead of what you need to. Two arcs stop all of the initial waves, which start pretty quickly. Like there's a decent amount of pressure. I am playing at Iron Man. No pausing, no save scumming, and no map specific schematics. So this one would really benefit from doing map specific schematics. That nice big lead patch there. Can't use that because that's got duos in range. Those will have to be dealt with before moving forward. And if I build anything even a little bit closer, then they'd start shooting at it. There's the first wave. A couple daggers. And they shoot some stuff that rebuilds easily. One of the biggest skill check in this is you have to build cores as you're going along, and so that requires the prices for things have been tuned a little bit, but you need 1,500 copper, lead, and silicon. So you have to be making all of that stuff the whole time, and you have to it builds slow, so you have to start sort of in advance. Because if the spawn exclusion pops your core before you can finish the next one, then you're done. And there's also a fair amount of just build something and manually load it to get a little bit. Like that's how I got my daggers out. And they clear out this space, and I'll use some of that. Next hurdle to clear is this next space here, because that is protecting the next core location. There's going to be several repeats of using walls to run things out of ammo and then destroy it. That happens a lot. Another go-to trick. I just use those daggers to take out one key belt, and then it'll run out its power and ammo reserves. And once that's gone, then I'll sit stuff over there to clear it out. If I was better about protecting the daggers, I wouldn't need to build a second batch, but this was the first run I did that actually made it all the way through, so I guess it's nice that you don't have to play a perfect game to beat this one. You can have some mistakes slide. It's very like you got to know the trick, and then you got to know the next trick, and then you got to figure out the next trick. So I did a lot of replays. I spent a few days working on this over the course of a couple weeks. Was it a couple weeks? The map itself, Run, I got it in Googly Goo's Discord. He was like, oh, hey, you should try this. And the link is sitting there. So I think I'll put an invite link to his Discord, and someone can go into his maps channels and get it there. I don't think he put it on Steam Workshop or anything, so it's not super easy to get it. I don't have any notes. It's executed well. It's nice and simple. The concept leaves most stuff undisturbed except for the concept of the map. I mean, if I had my biggest complaint is that this first coal patch here, it's got coal tiles on the black border on the very bottom that you can never use. Just make those walls. Don't do the temptation of it. I don't like the map boundary not being anything other than terrain walls in any map context. Alright, so we've cleared out that copper patch. That'll be a nice amount of copper for a while until the expansion catches up too far. Use the daggers to take out those scatters, and then I'm going to need to surgical strike with these flares to take out the next one. And the next turret nest needs to go because then I can move up to titanium economy. And knowing Googly Goo's gameplay style, he expects like core unload everything. He loves to just do an unloader and put all your construction buildings right there. And that ends up being the thing that worked for me for doing this. Like sandy core, coal core, and then plop your smelters right on there instead of building production chains outside and loading it in. Come on, get that last little bit. A lot of manual mining necessary. Having multiple players make it a lot easier because you've got more betas, those player ships from the foundations doing manual mining. It really helps you keep up with the quota of foundation construction materials that you need. Yeah, those fuses die pretty easy. Right, so we need to run those salvos out of ammo. And once those are done, then the flares can snipe out the logistics blocks and then clean up the rest of that. And as far as the actual spawns go, I'm gonna arc spam for most of it. There is some escalation, but it tends to be gradually increasing tech of the waves and not so much like large volume. The last wave is like an eclipse, but we will be well into the very back base by that point. I do like it in sort of time-limited maps like these if you can find a way to keep it tense and dangerous the whole time. Oh, and that wave blew out the first foundation. Yep. One of the things that is kind of janky about doing it this way is even though there's like that exclusion radius that pushes you out, you can still build inside it. So all of this stuff, I can just redirect the belts to this core and reuse all that infrastructure. And spam arcs. Spamming arcs solves all problems. It's nice that there's water available here. That helps a lot now that I've lost access to the initial bit of water. What was that going on earlier? Oh, progression. So like the tension in progression that you want to be just on the edge of survival for as long as possible. I think that's a mark of a good map of this kind. And it hews pretty close to that until you get it into the final base, which I managed to do like, I don't know, like halfway through or so. And then you're pretty safe. And the tension drops significantly. No, you may not paw at the window shade. Do I have to banish you to helping with color commentary again? You gotta behave better. Okay, yeah, so flares have cleared out that base. I've gotten into the titanium. I am repeatedly rebuilding pieces of the initial infrastructure to get it into here. Without having the titanium, you end up forced to use a lot of regular conveyors, which are pretty susceptible to getting burnt up and needing rebuilt. Since I'm doing unloaders to production, then mix the belts, put the coal in, put the sand in, do all of it. I'm going to be forced to do scrap into sand, which I hate and I find really obnoxious, but I end up forced to do it. Another sort of here we go. All right, so pretty much the rest of this is going to get done by ripple cheese. You have the best available ground range, so you're outranging cyclones and whatever else. And you put silicon into it so that you can make sure that all the shells are hitting what you want them to, and then you just snipe out the necessary bits. You blow that up. That blows up all that stuff, and you blow up the item source that is putting the platinum into those ripples. And then we're going to do walls to run those out of ammo, and then we move forward. And the ripple cheese pretty much does most of the rest of the work for the map. I'll build up some more daggers at the end to do like the mop up of the base when I get to it. Here goes the next chunk of infrastructure. Crawlers blow up, that's annoying, but all of this is cheap copper. That next core foundation spot, I'm just gonna skip that one. I have done some runs where I get that one, and it's a lot easier to just move up to the next one, which is a lot easier to get safety for. When I get that one, I'm gonna, thorium opens up. I didn't try any runs where I try to do like T2 or 3 units. Setting that up's a lot of work, and then you got a lot of waiting to do to actually get the units, versus doing ripple cheese is pretty much 10 seconds and there you go. Yeah, start working on that. The sand income's not going to be great at all at this point. I suppose there is still sand on the left that I can reach, but there's going to be a lot. All that's going to need more and more rebuilt before abandoning it completely. Thermal generators for power, that's pretty brain dead and doesn't require much thought. And you don't need a whole lot of power when playing through this, even though I'm using like electricity-based defenses. Like, as long as the batteries are there, then it'll hold up to the small handful of units coming through. We run out of anything? That's not quite gonna finish. The most dangerous thing to look out over there is when the attacks start getting close enough that it breaks the pipe. And then you have to worry about making sure that gets repaired quickly, or if something's sitting there and shooting in a way that hits it. The water leaks really slow down your coal and especially power production. We do have way more titanium than we need now, so it's easy to upgrade belts. I'm missing the availability of pools of water in this section of the map, but the extractor seems to do fine. All right, so this next snipe is the inputs to those specters. So that part's a mistake. And that's a mistake. Oh, okay. Multiple mistakes here. Because there's menders there, then the progress being made by that ripple being fed silicon is not going to do anything once it starts hitting things that are in the range of the menders. And the placement of those ammo wasting walls that I did, because the range of the Spectre bullets is further than what they will actually try to shoot at, I inadvertently flung some bullets into my units that were sitting there. So that slows things down a little bit because I got less, what are effectively deconstructing units. But with the Spectres gone, you can move units onto the lower side and start to pick out some bits of the base. These surge walls are annoying because you can't sit things sustainably close to the walls to shoot at them because of the lightning bolts. And, I'm just doing cheap T1, so it's got no survivability. Maybe I should put like a unit healer down there or something. That might be fine. I can put more of those thermal generators up now with the Spectres out of commission. Once that thorium drill goes down, then it stops making phase, and there's some batteries to blow up and some things. At this point, that's sort of like as far as I'd gotten while playing it. And so it was, we're trying for the first time. I got kind of lucky. When the base goes down, it happens in a lucky way. I was like, oh, okay, great, that was easy. You gotta replace sand production since I'm getting close to losing the middle foundation. There's probably enough copper stored up now that I don't have to worry about preserving the copper production too hard. But yeah, when you can do thermal power, it's too easy. You don't have to think about it at all. Just put the thing there. We are ending up at low power though. Well, I haven't connected all those even. Derp. Once again, you don't need a perfect run to do this. We're pretty low on silicon though. But I won't actually need another pile of 1500 until I'm finished breaking into that base. And that's gonna take a bit more. Up to air blast. And we are getting close to the point in the waves where bigger and different things come. I think there's a quasar at some point, which might be a little iffy, and there's a spot where it starts sending flying units. Though they start with like 2 flares, which was probably a bit too easy of an introduction to it. So I guess I have a Guardian now, and it says, oh, you're going to get a Guardian in 5 waves. Yeah, there's that leaking water that's bad for power. The pierce on the shot of this also ends up being extra annoying. Yeah, that guy's gone. Electricity plus water, broken combination. Oh, yeah, that's another thing that comes into play at the end. Once you get into there and you get platinum and you get a little bit of surge production, then, it's all just water tsunami, surge swarmer, and, the final wave could be 5 or 10 eclipses, and it wouldn't matter. The final wave probably could be like 10 eclipses, and it'd still be quite doable. Alright, so now we're trying to pick off bits of infrastructure inside that base that are not covered by the shield. I think they're out of phase in there, so the shield size is diminished, which helps pick off stuff, and you're going for like power nodes and unloaders and that sort of thing. The part that is really going to make this is that fire. So once that fire starts and there's that blast belt full of coal, and that's going to spread to the core, and then the core burns down. So I've gotten the base. Give it a little time, and that's going to take care of everything for me. Yeah, this power node is on the shield. I don't want to get rid of that. Notice the one red dagger that snuck through. I can notice it after the fact, but during things, I wasn't really paying attention to that. I just see like, power's going out. Why is that going out? I know air units are coming. Why is this acting weird? What is going on here? Let's fix that power. Oh. Oh, that's shooting at me. What can I do about that? It should be something. Units, do that. Okay. So that was sloppy, but whatever. More arc spam, although we don't have the wave supporting it anymore. And that's annoying. Losing units just by not being careful with the meltdown, which is still powered. I think there's a little bit more ripple cheese to take out the infrastructure for the meltdown, and then I can just put units in there to clear out the rest of everything. There's the first air. 3 flares. Meh. I guess we got... So the only thing left to worry about is these meltdowns. There's no more ammo things to run out. I just have to disconnect those from power. And that's a matter of ripple spam. Ripple cheese. Ripply, wavy cheese. None of the actual power plants are running anymore. It's just those solar. So, power node, get it. And that ends up having an interesting effect on the total available power once this thing's out. Makes the shield bigger. Just a little bit closer. I guess here's another foundation spot that I end up not bothering with. That might not have been the case if the fire hadn't just burned everything down in there. Yeah, so goo, if you want to make this harder, add a single water tsunami inside the base. That might be another change that you do before publishing it. I can build inside enemy shields. And that same problem on an Erekir with the hard shields that you can't even fly into. These ones just stop bullets. Meh. Here comes some stuff. We got novas and daggers. And all of that rebuilds cheaply. If I bother to rebuild it. Am I going to bother to rebuild that? I think I'm more concerned with, I want to start actually building inside the juicy spot with the brain dead drill placements. So the timing of the spawn expansion is done well and intentional and competent, where once you get to the very last wave, the edge of the spawn exclusion is right up to the doorway of this base. You don't have a problem with it like creeping inside. And you also don't have so much very easy, places to spam walls or defenses or whatever on the outside. So that part ends up working well. These batteries full of power, that's annoying because I keep popping them and then blowing up stuff I'm trying to build. And that same thing's going to happen with the surge walls that still need cleared out. But hey, now we got water again. Oh, it'd be so terrible without the B drag rebuild. Great innovations in user interface. There probably is some argument to be made for trying to build a few polys to help out, build speed and whatever. That might actually make a lot of sense here. I haven't done it. It ends up not being necessary. But I guess if you're trying to do a speed run, which involves, spamming the next wave button once you get things secure, then polys might help a great deal. Probably don't really need that. The most important one of these to get is probably the lead, which is up on the top and protected by surge wall retaliation lightning. That cryo mixer, I should just be pumping cryo out of the ground, but I didn't think about it. I do know that the oil is there. And that getting the platinum in to start doing swarmers, that's the important part. Oh, I don't think I even bothered doing overdrives. 4 zeniths of guardians. How much trouble is that going to be? Any? Derp derp, sloppy clicks. And the salvo's doing good work. And once again, just rebuild inside the exclusion zone. Although now I've run myself out of lead and should probably be manually mining to keep things going. $16 out of 26 waves. Alright, that's all nice and cleared out. Get that lead. I want that lead. I want that lead. Out of lead. Get more lead. And fix your power plant. Sloppy click sink ships? It's something other than sink ships. Propaganda posters for Mindustry challenge maps. There you go. I don't need lots of oil. I just need a little bit. Give me that platinum. Play with the synthesizer and add a nice little ding every time a platinum goes in. That'd be fun. Oh, maybe I could do that. Alright. Lead problem solved. Hooray. Except for the surge wall lightning, which is going to continue to be troublesome. So yeah, at this point, we can probably abandon everything outside. Don't need to worry about that nearly as much. Start working on the surge. This will need to go in the swarmers. And I will want to make some silicon. It's necessary for the surge production and just general building. A little more water. Plenty of water. I don't need nearly that much. I'm starting to get ready for the swarmer setup. I won't even need a lot of swarmers with surge in them to take care of this. I build like 7. And you know, that kills an eclipse in seconds once it gets close. I have remembered that pumpable cryo is available, so that's how we're gonna do the cool. Oh no, I think I ended up building like 1 more reactor, and I could use it that way. No, the cryo goes into cooling turrets eventually. Whatever. I'm certainly not going to build another cryo mixer. Now we're safe. We have the broken thing. Permanent safety forever. Maces. Not getting in here. Nope. Abandon all of that. It's now useless. So there is the matter of anything with Pierce is going to be bad for the logistics that are running the swarmers. So there will also need to be some amount of wall spam or something to try and protect that or space it out or something like that. The daggers are going to get put off into a corner. I don't want things to walk close and see the daggers sitting right by the vulnerable infrastructure and start hitting it by shooting at daggers. So they're going to get moved out of the way. That's sort of a pinnacle retreat kind of lesson there. Use your lingering units to draw fire away from the stuff that you don't want to get shot at. Yeah, now I'm going to fill a silicon shortage. I want this power. Oh, graphite's low too. Flares, huh? Flares? Killing my foundation? I don't care. Too bad I can't, deconstruct it to recover those materials. Why would you ever want to deconstruct a foundation? Let me show you. Alright, so I've slightly deconstructed the surge factory so that the silicon that I am producing stops going into that and helps me build a little bit more silicon, and then we'll get back on top of that. We are a little low on sand. I'm not going to bother piping water over that, although it probably could just come from the left there and be a little more efficient, but meh. This works fine. I don't have to be perfect anymore. I have all the security and safety I need. Start building meme incinerators because it no longer matters. What is that? There's going to be a high tier quab for a guardian wave soon. Okay then. So now we're putting blocker walls up and the shield. Just, make sure that the swarmers stay nice and all their logistics blocks intact when there actually comes time to shoot at stuff. Maces going around. They're getting nowhere. Now, this is a moment where having some polys or megas around would actually make a big difference in putting these walls up. And especially in the later walls, when the exclusion zone gets this far, the wave spawns, it blows up the walls, and then you have an amount of time between the spawn and when the units actually get all the way over here that you can rebuild it. And so having more build speed lets you put up this entire blocking wall array, even though the spawn radius expansion expects to have been killing it. I got more thorium than I need. Let's do the thorium walls. Those have more hit points. Do those. Fill up this whole thing. Yeah, and get those daggers out of the way. If something starts walking over this wall, if it happens to get this far, I want it shooting at daggers and not at swarmer logistics. Although they're getting a little stuck. We cannot fit single file over a pipe. Can't do it. Well, there's a dude. And it looks like that dude is trying to walk around walls anyway, even though he can walk over them. For some reason, he's choosing to go along the bottom, which I'd rather not, but I don't think it's going to end up actually making a difference. One shot. Two. Alright, so he did like 2 artillery shots before the swarmers killed him. Fine. The power of surge swarmers. I don't know if water... No, there was a water tsunami that got him. That's the part that's the real kicker. Especially against lone units, because the water tsunami doesn't actually do any area of effect. It's like each blob of water is one thing. So it's great for piling on that cheese electric shock water status effect against low numbers of high tier units, and not as good for large numbers of lesser tier units. And that's like one of the reasons that on the eviction server people stick with like masses of T3, because it sort of threads the effectiveness needle between smaller numbers of high tier units getting absolutely wrecked by shock water tsunamis, and lower tier units that get eliminated by just the swarmers themselves, even though they're never getting wet. Get this stuff out of the way. Make more silicon. Make more silicon. And don't waste any of that surge. Preserve it. It's valuable. That is something that it would have been potentially difficult to doing it this lazy way if there was something that was making me shoot a lot more ammo. So if there were some of these waves that had large numbers of low tier units that would squander ammo from the swarmers, that might force me to work a little harder for this. Oh, put armored duct there. I don't want any pyrotite sneaking into the belt. Although it would probably work fine. Like, it wouldn't clog them. They would just shoot stupid, ineffective rockets instead of the good golden lightning rockets. Golden shower. That's what we should call it. The combination of water tsunamis and surge swarmers. That's your golden shower. It's important to be disrespectful to this broken concept. But, it's been left in the game for years, so we can't take out the broken thing, because then people might have a hard time with the campaign. Big what? Why don't you design a proper campaign instead? Try doing that. Glass. That's what I'm messed up on. And I just put it in. Cool. It was easy enough. Nice big thick wall here. Liquid storage. I probably could be just spamming the wave button at this point. Although that's the spawn destruction radius is starting to actually get to my wall. Goodbye, Zeniths. Goodbye, Zeniths. Got some more. Liquid them. Okay. Nice amount of silicon. One kiln is doing fine. I'm not building diff generators, so... Oh, here comes something. It is quasars. Shooting backwards for some reason. Dying quickly. Maybe there should be some plast walls in that. Maybe. That would probably help. there is the potential for something dangerous spawning that would make it important to put blast walls. I want more surge, and the bottleneck on the one unloader feeding it is lead, so I can put that in manually. Just dumb little ad hoc optimizations to pass the time for the last couple waves. The fuse? Sure. There's space down there. Something might try and fly around to the south, maybe? It's possible. Oh, there's the next wave. Slices off another chunk of wall. Goodbye, zeniths. 10 enemies left. What more could be coming for us? Quasars and fortresses. Let's see what they have to say for themselves. Shooting the shield. Getting lightninged. Didn't even take the shield down. Oh well. Anyway, I'd say this is a pretty decently good challenge map and worth publishing publicly. You will have to do a bit of sort of cheesy things to get through it. The first go through, I thought, yeah, maybe this might be overtuned a little hard until I figured out that in playing these things, I do it like a scholar, sort of, where I'll just sit down and study it over and over again to eventually, learn a pattern and get it into muscle memory to do it. Versus, I see a lot of other players that are a lot better at ad hoc figuring out a surprise right when it happens, and might, solve these things faster than I do. I do it with grunt work and trying and studying instead of just knowing what to do. But it makes it work very well for these challenge maps, and it makes me a lot worse at PvP on my own server, where people are constantly throwing things at me that I haven't seen before, and then I just get wrecked by it. Atraxes? Who uses those? Oh, these are killing me. Ugh. Spirots. Am I threatened by those? Will those even do one harmful shot? No. Spirots shot nothing. Those got some shots off into the shield. And they're dead. Yeah. Good map. Should be published. Worth playing. Yeah, I think it's the last. The wave counters always felt sort of unintuitive. There's always one more wave in the description than is actually happening. And I'm being affected by the... So yeah, that's gonna... When the spawn happens, it's gonna knock out the shield and those menders and a couple tsunamis. And I want to get to rebuilding that right away. And I know it. I got my B-box ready. Too soon. My power? That's not a whole lot of surplus power. The batteries are happy though. Alright. rebuild that stuff. Here's where it'd be really nice to have some polys around. What is it? It's an eclipse. So that's going to be shooting some Pierce that could potentially be slightly dangerous. We'll do plast walls. Now is when we need plast walls. Although I don't know, it might... It's going to get here before most of that gets built. At least I'm not spilling liquid because I used the routers at the end. That's good. Not even one plast wall. Just knocked out some logistics blocks. It's getting put up. Dead in seconds. I win! Hooray! Read the map. That was fun. See you later.